Hello. Elsewhere to discuss even further dynamics and technologies together relevant in the same. Last, Kerala science tourism. President of representing
Hello.
Kerala science.
കേൾക്കുന്നുണ്ടോ? ഹലോ. ഹലോ. ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞത് കേട്ടോ, അവർക്ക് രജിസ്റ്റർ ചെയ്യണം. സാർ ഹലോ പറഞ്ഞ കേട്ടോ, കേട്ടാ ഡിലേ ഒന്നും നമ്മൾ കൃത്യമായിട്ട് ഡിലേ സംബന്ധിച്ച് എന്തെങ്കിലും ഒരു ടെൻഡൻസ് ഫുള്ള് പറയും. മൈക്കിൽ പറയുന്നത് കേൾക്കുന്നില്ല. കേൾക്കുന്നുണ്ടോ? പക്ഷെ വളരെ സൈലന്റ് ആയിരിക്കണം അല്ലേ എല്ലാവരും? പക്ഷെ നമുക്ക് ഇതൊന്നൊരു എടുക്കാൻ പറ്റില്ല, കിട്ടത്തില്ലല്ലേ? അതന്നെ കറക്റ്റാണ്. പക്ഷെ വളരെ സൈലന്റ് ആയിരിക്കണം. ഇവിടെ നിന്ന് പറയുന്നത് രാജി സാറേ വണ്ടി വെക്കാനുള്ള സ്ഥലം വണ്ടി എടുത്തിട്ട് വെക്കേഷൻ ഇങ്ങോട്ട് നാഷണൽ പോയോ? ജനുവരി 30.
ബ്രേക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്ന ഭയങ്കര സ്ലോ ആണ്. അതായത് നമ്മൾ
ഇങ്ങനെ ഒരു ഞങ്ങളുടെ സ്പർശനം നടത്തുമ്പോൾ ഇടയ്ക്കിടയ്ക്ക് വന്നിട്ട് പിള്ളേരെല്ലാം കുട്ടികളൊക്കെ കുറെ സമയം ഇങ്ങനെ ഒരു ഞങ്ങളുടെ സ്പർശനം നടത്തുമ്പോൾ ഇടയ്ക്കിടയ്ക്ക് വന്നിട്ട് പിള്ളേരെല്ലാം ഇങ്ങനെ ഒരു ഞങ്ങളുടെ സ്പർശനം നടത്തുമ്പോൾ ഇടയ്ക്കിടയ്ക്ക് വന്നിട്ട് പിള്ളേരെല്ലാം
And then they send it down. And then which is a he is to start to use private sector. By very popular actually finds that like bioprocess, materials and manufacturing, healthcare, scientific science, sterilization, are essential excellence in microbiology. Are the science founders and PhDs provide the plan for young research and adults across the school. Elsewhere, this is to be returned and some time. Last representing the ഫ്രണ്ടിലോട്ട് വന്നിരിക്കും കേട്ടോ.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The Kerala Science Congress, organized under the aegis of the Kerala State Council for Science, Technology and Environment, is a flagship event that stands as a testament to Kerala's enduring commitment to scientific excellence, fostering collaboration and addressing critical challenges that impact society and the environment. The 37th Kerala Science Congress is scheduled to take place at the Kerala Agricultural University, Thrissur, from February 7 to 10, 2025. The memorial lectures, instituted to honor visionary pioneers in science and technology, are a highlight of the Science Congress. Today, we gather for the first in this series, the E.K. Janaki Ammal Memorial Lecture, which celebrates the extraordinary legacy of Dr. E.K. Janaki Ammal. This lecture is organized in association with the University of Kerala, and it is my privilege to extend a warm welcome to all of you to this special event. Before we begin the memorial lecture, let us take a moment to delve into the activities and contributions of KSDSC. Kerala's Council for Science Technology, popularly known as KSC, constituted in November 2000. Science and technology. Over the past 6 years, we have science and technology practice. That's science. Science are constant under the council. And granted me to is also studied graduate biology and rural science studies and thoughts knowledge and partners. Advanced design grants to students and researchers, research funding scheme for researchers,
and programs exclusive to support our brand science of scientists. Select operational research method, task force, science lab, government high school in Kerala. Are two of our science instructor programs. Under Greater program, it's the Centers of Excellence in World Class Research. Accounts by the community programs. Act devising facility, IT awareness, task and price cell is a focus project that provides essential SCFP communities. Science popularization is just the describer. Kerala State Youngster and scientific recognize the level science and science advocates to the Kerala Shastra. The National Civil Science Congress and other major science popularization. KSCM also supports National Mathematics Day and National Science Day programs facilitated by for our industry. The activity science parks, bioprocessing, bioprocessing, Kannur University, materials and marine sciences, Kochi University of Science, healthcare, genomics, planetary sciences, and Kerala University are on. The Center of Excellence in Microbiology, the Center of Excellence in Nutraceuticals are the other emerging fields of the council. The Kerala Science Congress is an annual event conducted by KACFE that provides a platform for young researchers, academicians, technologists, and others across the field and elsewhere to discuss, share their research findings, and technologies data relevant to last year, 36 Science Congress, in the presence of 2022 Web Operating Ministry, Professor Newton Peter. The medicine of Kerala Science Congress. Kerala and science in the service of the people of Kerala.
Thank you. May I request our esteemed dignitaries to occupy their seats on the dais. To formally commence the program, I now invite Professor A. Sabu, Member Secretary of KCST and General Convener of the 37th Kerala Science Congress to deliver the welcome address. Sir, please.
Very good afternoon, one and all. Professor A. Anil Kumar, Registrar, University of Kerala. Dr. Jauhar Ali, Principal Scientist and chief guest of today's memorial oration. Professor Kaji, Director, IQAC University of Kerala, my colleague. Dr. Binuja Thomas, Principal Scientist. As all of you are aware, 37 Kerala Science Congress is scheduled to be held at Thrissur, Kerala Agricultural University campus from 7th to 10th of February 2025. This memorial oration is prelude to the Kerala Science Congress. In fact, there are 9 memorial lectures planned as part of the Kerala Science Congress. This year, the Professor M.S. Valliyathan Memorial Oration and Professor M.S. Swaminathan Memorial Oration will be held at the venue of the Science Congress itself, and rest of the memorial orations are planned to be organized at different campuses, including different universities and colleges throughout the state. Today, I'm so glad to be here to welcome all of you to the Janaki Ammal Memorial Oration, which is a part of the 37th Kerala Science Congress. As all of you are aware, Dr. Janaki Ammal was a pioneering Indian botanist and cytogeneticist who made significant contributions to plant genetics, cytology, and ethnobotany. Her groundbreaking research on sugarcane genetics related to the development of hybrid varieties better suited to Indian conditions. This had a lasting impact on India's sugarcane cultivation and agriculture. Her work earned her recognition as one of the foremost scientists in Indian history, especially in the fields of plant breeding and genetic diversity. Janaki Ammal remains as an inspiration for women in science, especially in our country. Her work continues to influence plant genetics and conservation efforts globally. Dr. Janaki Ammal will be introduced properly by my colleagues. Professor Shaji will introduce Dr. Janaki Ammal and the speaker. Let me move on to my duty to welcome all those who are gathered here to listen to Professor Jauhar Ali. This memorial oration is chaired by Dr. Anil Kumar, Registrar of University of Kerala. Dr. Anil's background includes significant expertise in e-governance, knowledge management, and information security, is evidenced by his scholarly contributions in this field. His efforts aim to modernize the administrative process of the University of Kerala to enhance transparency and efficiency. With a lot of respect, let me welcome Professor Anil to the memorial oration opening session. As I mentioned earlier, this year's Janaki Ammal Memorial Oration is delivered by Professor Dr. Jauhar Ali. He is a prominent scientist specializing in hybrid rice development and climate smart agriculture. Currently, he serves as the principal scientist and head of the Hybrid Rice Development Consortium at the International Rice Research Institute, Philippines. He has made significant contributions to global agricultural research, particularly in developing hybrid rice varieties that are resilient to environmental stresses like pest diseases and climate variability. One of his notable achievements is leading the development of arsenic-safe rice, a project aimed at identifying and deploying rice varieties that exclude arsenic, thereby ensuring safer consumption in areas affected by arsenic pollution. This project earned recognition by winning the Global Food System Challenge Grand Prize. In fact, Dr. Jauhar Ali is contributing to the development of agriculture the advances in agriculture in the state of Kerala also, though he is working in Philippines for the past several years. He is collaborating with the agriculture departments of different states, including Kerala, Tamil Nadu, and Madhya Pradesh. In the last budget, the government of Kerala announced the Institute for Advanced Crop Breeding, and Professor Jauhar is the brain behind that idea, that institute. Hope that institute will materialize in the coming years. With a lot of respect, let me welcome Professor Jauhar Ali to the Janaki Ammal Memorial Oration. This meeting is in fact facilitated by Dr. Shaji, Director of the University of Kerala General Quality Assurance. Professor Shaji is a geoscientist with significant academic contributions, particularly in areas like groundwater studies, fluoride contamination, and petrology. He has authored several research papers focusing on geological processes in regions like Southern India and Madagascar. His work contributes to both applied research in environmental geology and theoretical advances in earth science. In addition to his academic responsibilities, Professor Shaji serves as the director of the IQAC at the University of Kerala. He is actively involved in initiatives that uphold and enhance academic quality and institutional standards in alignment with the National Assessment and Accreditation Council. The universities, if you have a smart IQAC director, the registrar and vice chancellor can in fact relax. Most of the quality related issues will be taken care of by the IQAC director. And Professor Shaji is doing that in a better manner. Let me welcome Professor Shaji to this memorial oration. Dr. Janaki Thomas, my colleague, will be delivering the vote of thanks. Dr. Janaki, my colleague at KCST, taking care of certain assigned responsibilities, including promoting innovation, patent information cell, and many other programs which are of societal and academic importance. Let me welcome Dr. Vinuda also to this function. This memorial lecture is attended by many dignitaries, including directors of our R&D institutions, scientists from KCC headquarters, from nearby institutes, professors, senior professors, heads of departments, deans, faculty members, other faculty members, and members of the university statutory bodies, including Senate, Syndicate, and Academic Council, and a sizable participation is there from the PG and research departments of Kariavattom campus and the Kerala Agriculture University. Let me welcome all of you to this memorial oration. I hope once Dr. Jauhar finishes his presentation, I'm sure he will give an enlightening presentation and there will be enough stuff for you to interact with him. I request the younger generation of researchers and PhD students participating in this oration to interact with Dr. Jauhar Ali and learn from his experience. Once again, let me welcome all of you to this memorial oration. Thank you.
Sir K.S. Anil Kumar, Registrar of the University of Kerala, to deliver the presidential address.
Respected Dr. Jauhar Ali, the principal scientist, IRRI, Professor A. Samu, the member secretary KSCST, Professor Shaji, our IPC director, Dr. Vinuja Thomas, principal scientist KSCST, and the distinguished academics present here, my dear friends, faculty members, and dear students. So this is the happiest moment for the University of Kerala. Be a part of this E.K. Janaki Ammal Memorial Lecture. As the academic community, we have more roles and responsibilities. Especially, we have to transfer knowledge from one point to the other point. That is the primary responsibility of the academic community. And it will be available to the society also. That is our another one responsibility. So as far as our university is concerned, so our university started in 1937. I think majority of them know this. So the first university in the state of Kerala, and we are continuing our journey. Still, we are the first university in 2024. The tremendous continuous support taken by the number of academicians, staff, and students made this achievement. And also, I have to say that the last couple of days back, we got the national ranking as well as international ranking. See, QS ranking 88th position in the South Asia. And this is also one of the ranking side. And NAR, we are the 9th position in the state university in our country. That is also another one milestone. So, because of this information, and we are basically, I have to say that we are very glad to be a part of this Janaki Ammal Memorial Lecture. And the respected dignitaries, once again, I welcome you in this occasion. So it is a moment that I have to preside over this E.K. Janaki Ammal Memorial Lecture organized as part of this 37th Kerala Science Congress, so which is scheduled, I think, February 7th to 10th in the Kerala Agricultural University. So this gathering is an apt occasion to honor the legacy of Dr. E.K. Janaki Ammal, a visionary scientist whose work transcended boundaries and continues to inspire generations. Dr. Janaki Ammal was not only a pioneer in plant cytogenetics and biodiversity conservation, but also a beacon of courage and resilience. And also the knowledge can be transferred to the society is very important, and can be applicable to the society is also very important. So in that extent, so her contribution is very valuable as a citizen in India. So her research on sugarcane varieties contributed immensely to India's agricultural advancements. Her insights into plant genetics and polyploidy have left a lasting important imprint on the scientific community. Beyond her scientific achievements, she was deeply committed to environmental conservation, emphasizing the need to protect our natural heritage, a vision that is profoundly relevant in our current efforts to address ecological challenges. See, the 37th Kerala Science Congress to be held in Thrissur will carry forward these ideals. This annual event has been a cornerstone of Kerala's scientific ecosystem, providing a platform for researchers, educators, policymakers, and innovators to collaborate and exchange ideas. So definitely this Congress hosted at the Kerala Agricultural University is especially significant, as the venue itself stands as a testament to the integration of science and agriculture, a domain where Dr. Janaki Ammal made pioneering contributions. So I believe it is our collective responsibility to ensure that the values exemplified by Dr. Janaki Ammal are integrated into our educational and research frameworks. And also, I can say that in Kerala University, we proudly say that our one of the best conference will be named us in the name of E.K. Janaki Ammal. See, we are deeply committed to fostering the environment that encourages such interdisciplinary learning and innovation. So as you know that the UGC National Education Policy 2020 is also promoting the interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary and transdisciplinary research. And in that sense, different departments and different divisions of the subjects, when in science can talk to bioscience, our science can talk to engineering, or engineering can talk to other branches of sciences. Different branches can club together and integrate together, and finally, ultimately, that type of disciplines, disciplines results will be more beneficial to the society and to the nation at large. So, and see the talk series is Jauhar, who is the prominent scientist and head of hybrid research, development continuous, and principal scientist of IRRI. He is very pioneer in his contribution, and his contribution is more valuable and the apt person to deliver this type of address. The Kerala State Council for Science, Technology and Environment for organizing this lecture and for their tireless efforts in promoting scientific excellence in the state. It is initiatives like these that keep the spirit of pioneers like Dr. Janaki Ammal alive, inspiring us to push the boundaries and explore new frontiers. See, let us pledge to uphold the legacy of Dr. Janaki Ammal by fostering innovation that respects and protects the delicate balance of our ecosystems, ensuring that science serves as a tool for both progress and sustainability. With these thoughts, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to the organizers, especially Professor Sabu, the member secretary of KCST, and the other organizers, speakers, and participants of this memorial lecture. May this event be a source of inspiration, sparking new ideas and collaborations as we prepare for the impactful deliberations of the 37th Kerala Science Congress.
I invite Professor Shaji to shed light on the life and work of the remarkable Dr. E.K. Janaki Ammal and to introduce the esteemed speaker for today's memorial lecture.
Good afternoon, all. At the outset, the University of Kerala would like to place on record our sincere gratitude to KSCST in particular and the organizers of the 37th Kerala Science Congress, particularly Professor A. Sabu, Member Secretary, and Dr. Vinija Thomas for choosing University of Kerala as a venue for this important prelude memorial talk in connection with the 37th Kerala Science Congress. And my duty is to introduce the very eminent personality, E.K. Janaki Ammal. Today is the memorial lecture in connection with E.K. Janaki Ammal contribution to the field of science. And this lecture is delivered by Dr. Jauhar. I will briefly introduce them to this August gathering. Dr. E.K. Janaki Ammal was a renowned botanist and plant cytologist who had made significant contribution to genetics, evolution, photogeography, and ethnobotany. Janaki Ammal was born in Tellicherry, Kerala, in a cultured middle-class family on 4th November 1897. After schooling in Tellicherry, she moved to Madras, where she obtained the bachelor's degree from Queen's Mary College and her honors degree in botany from Presidency College in 1921. She then taught there for some time. Then she had a barber scholar at the University of Michigan in the USA, where she obtained her master's degree in 1925. Returned to India, she continued to teach at WCC. Then she again came back to botany as a botany professor at the Maharaja's College of Science, Trivandrum. From 1937 to 39, she worked as a genetist at the Sugarcane Breeding Institute at Coimbatore. Then she left England during 1940 and 45. She worked as an assistant cytologist at the Johns Innes Horticultural Institution in London. Subsequently, the then Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru invited her back to accept as an assignment as a special officer to recognize the Botanical Survey of India. She returned to India in 1951. From then on, besides the reorganization of BSI, Dr. Ammal continued to be in the service of the government of India in various capacities, including heading the Central Botanical Laboratory at Allahabad and many things. Her most notable work involves those on sugarcane and the eggplant. Her studies on ethnobotany, particularly in use of plants by tribes in Kerala, are of great value. In order to promote excellent work in taxonomy and encourage young students and scholars to work in this field, E.K. Janaki Ammal Award was instituted in the year 1999. 2 awards for outstanding work on botanical and zoological taxonomy, including work done in microorganisms, are eligible for consideration either for the 2 categories E.K. Janaki Ammal National Award on Plant Taxonomy and E.K. Janaki Ammal National Award on Animal Taxonomy, respectively. This is all about Dr. E.K. Janaki Ammal. Let me introduce Dr. Jauhar Ali to you. Dr. Jauhar Ali has been serving International Rice Research Institute from 2009 onwards as a globally recruited scientist, in other words, known as GRS. He is currently the leader of the hybrid rice technologies for seed industry unit at IRRI. Also, is the head of the hybrid rice development consortium with many national extension centers and 40 private seed company members. Dr. Jauhar is a dynamic and highly accomplished researcher, leader with 30 years of research experience who have contributed significantly to global agriculture research development and capacity building. He has been a demonstrative and successful breeder who directly breed and release 73 inbred and 24 hybrid rice varieties and deploy them over 44 million hectares across Asia and Africa. Dr. Jauhar finished his Bachelor's of Science in Agriculture from Punjab Agricultural University in Ludhiana, India. Later, he took up his master's and doctoral degree in the field of genetics from India's premier Indian Agriculture Research Institute, New Delhi. He did his postdoctoral fellowship at International Rice Research Institute on 2 occasions during 94, 95, and 2000 and 2003. He has been a highly motivated, innovative, and passionate researcher leader who took up early research initiatives in technologies that could impact farmer livelihood, especially on green super rice breeding, 2-line hybrid rice, nutrient use of hybrid, direct seeded rice hybrid, arsenic safe rice, etc. And he is a recipient of the 2024 Sansing Veermani Hybrid Rice Award from the Crop Science Society, Philippines. Dr. Jauhar contributed immensely to the capacity building of researchers and directly trained more than 3,000 researchers. He has published more than 114 publications in peer-reviewed journals. He has graded 18 masters and 20 PhD students, of which 50% are female, who believed in empowering them. And with this, proudly, let me introduce Professor Jauhar Ali to this August gathering. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for that insightful introduction. Without further ado, let's welcome Dr. Jauhar Ali to deliver the E.K. Janaki Ammal Memorial Lecture. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. So good afternoon once again to this August gathering, people on the dais and now they have gone back to the other side. But I really appreciate having me invited for delivering this important EK Janaki Ammal Memorial Lecture, which is a prelude to 30 Kerala Science. I chose this topic, securing food through climate resilient and nutritious rice varieties for this memorial lecture. And what a lady she has proven, a person who has done her PhD in 1931 from Michigan University. And she has really set the stage for all the women in not only in this country, but we should take inspiration from her to excel in this field of agriculture, where women don't come to this field. So you should be proud that if a lady can do in 1930s, why the young women in this present day cannot do. So I don't want to get into the details because everyone elaborated so many things of Janaki Ammal. But I just like to touch before I get into my talk that she was a pioneer in the cytogenetics work, especially related to sugarcane and cotton. And her contributions to plant taxonomy is something very important at that time when people didn't know how to collect the flora in the available flora in the country, and a person needs to be a taxonomist first. And then some of our very important work I would suggest is the botanical gardens, establishment of botanical gardens. I was talking to Dr. Arunachalam and he was mentioning that they have also a botanical in their place. So I think somewhere the Kerala scientists have taken initiatives that with the Kerala Science and Council of Science and Technology has been at least to spearhead some of the important areas of science. So in a nutshell, Janaki Ammal's legacy is significant in botany, plant genetics, and agricultural sciences. She will be always remembered as a pioneering figure in the Indian agricultural science. And with this, let me get into the real topic for today. As we talk about the food security, first we should understand food insecurity. If you see the maps, okay. If you see the map out here, the more the darker the red, it becomes more insecure. And this, you have a hand like. Thank you. So if you look at the darker the red, it becomes more insecure. In just in 2050, if you see in 2050, it becomes more insecure. And the above map is the current scenario. And we are in a situation where it's a race against time technically. And this was very evident when we look at the report of 2023, the global report on food, the food prices actually. This was almost 259 million people, 258 million people were almost had the reduced food availability, and that means they were in a situation where we had to look into the kind of almost 22%, 22.7% of the analyzed population, almost covering 58 countries, were in food shortages. So this gives a glimpse of that. But if you look at the climate by itself, which are the most triggering factors, is the heat. The global temperatures would eventually trigger the flooding and droughts. That means when the global temperatures rise, the drought and the flooding would be more. And this is exactly seen in the bars that show mostly it will be affecting the crops. And in order to really give a solution to this, we have to sustain the food security under the climate change. And some of the key principles out there is, though there are plenty of them, but climate resilient crop varieties, especially varieties and hybrids, because you have to increase the productivity per unit area. So therefore, with the enhanced yield potentials, we need both under favorable and unfavorable conditions. Now, this has to really get to be maximized with the adequate and the best crop management practices. Now, if you look at the crop management and associated technologies to boost the yield of these crop varieties is one of the options. And then we have to also ensure the nutritional security by the hidden element hunger, like the hunger elements like iron and zinc, is very, very critical. Because in the process of increasing the yield, the iron and zinc and the nutritional elements sometimes could be forgotten in different crops. So that could be very threatening for especially the resource poor consumers. And keeping this into context, you need a conducive environment where the policymakers are ensuring that the funding of research and everything is in place, including the food is available and accessible and utilized. It is properly utilized and it's stably there. And in this regard, in 2009, exactly, we initiated the Green Super Rice project. Now, those people who have not come across the Green Super Rice concept, it's a concept, and it became one of the most important achievements of in this process, where we try to develop varieties that require lesser inputs, both chemical and the fertilizer including. So therefore, these climate resilient varieties were developed with this breeding protocol, that where the environment sustainability, that should the greenness, technically how much it is environmentally sustainable, and the high nutrient use efficiency requires lesser fertilizer application. At the same time, you don't compromise on the higher grain yield and the grain quality. Now, we also took into consideration the cooking time itself. If you have a faster cooking time, you can save a few minutes of a daily cooking rice. Even a few minutes can make a big difference in the total carbon footprint of the process of rice cooking itself. And so we try to create varieties that can cook faster, and this was also into consideration of this. And recently, when we added the nutritional element like iron and zinc into this equation, was to deploy these materials into Asia and Africa. And almost 73 varieties rice hybrids were released in almost a cumulative area of 33 million, and now it's 44 million hectares across 19 countries. And now these materials can go into the heterotic pools, directly into the hybrid programs, where you can classify them into the heterotic pools, because we recently sequenced 3,000 genomes, and keeping that as a source nursery, we could easily classify them, all these materials, and eventually we can use the artificial intelligence and genomic prediction tools to identify which combinations can make sense and which combinations would be high yielding. and therefore we can make the heterotic combinations. Now coming to the one rice breeding strategy, where the IRIS current inbred breeding program follows the one rice breeding strategy. This is one rice breeding strategy is basically using the elite by elite process, using the genomic selection tools, and then using a rapid generation advancement, either by speed breed facility or by the RGA protocols. And we can accelerate almost 4 to 5 crops per year in speed breed facility. And therefore, we can accelerate the breeding process. And therefore, the materials that generate from these materials again flow back to the hybridized program as well, and directly it could be utilized. And that's how the first level of the climate resilient rice hybrids could be developed. And directly these materials also can go for adaptation in different parts of the world. Now, IRIS climate resilient rice inbred varieties, almost 73 has been released. 11 of them in East and Southern Africa, in South Asia 21, and in Southeast Asia around 41. And still more are in the pipeline, almost 104 are in the pipeline. And the list of these 73 varieties is in this table, you don't need to read that. 9 of them are released in India itself. The most glaring one is the PR126. PR126 occupies 60% of Punjab, Haryana, and Uttar Pradesh. And today, the GSR varieties in India alone will be touching 2 million hectares. And in neighboring Bangladesh also has a sizable area, including Pakistan and also Indonesia and Vietnam and other countries. Now, people would be understanding what is this green super rice breeding we are talking about? How did you breed these varieties? I joined IRI in 2009. How can I breed that fast so many varieties? That's a very sheer question anybody should ask. So we had a very important breeding strategy. We call it as the GSR, or the green super rice breeding technology. Now, this is an innovative technology where you are crossing with a recipient parent. For example, you like a Jyoti variety. You keep Jyoti as your recipient parent, and you cross it with a series of donors. And creating the backcross, the first backcross to the Jyoti variety, you can create BC1F2 population. And these BC1F2 population, you are subjecting them to multiple abiotic stress screening process. And wherever the resistant or tolerant ones are selected against the tolerant checks and the susceptible checks, at the same time, you are making sure that the yield of these selected ones are higher than the checks of the yield checks that are kept. And by this way, you can see the screens are there for multiple abiotic, and 3 rounds of that screening, we can get it fixed. And these are very harsh screening levels. For example, a drought screening would be like you transplant at 21 days, and up to 30 days you are giving water. After 51 days, no water is given to this field up to harvest. Now, in that scenario, everything gets killed. 99% of the material will be dead. And that 1% from where the drought tolerant materials are developed. So is the salinity. We are irrigating with seawater and maintaining the salinity level at between 15 to 25 decisiemens, which is a very harsh saline conditions. And likewise, for every condition, the stress is very high because we wanted to kill the segregants. And only the best segregants out of that is advanced. So that's the principle. And by doing so, these materials eventually are tested and genotyped and phenotyped. By this way, you can map the QTLs using these populations. At the same time, you can breed the varieties. Not only we map all the traits that we know currently, drought, salinity, flooding, almost every trait we took, we mapped already. And these are available for anyone who follows our publication. He can refer to them. Recently, one of the 2 students at Kerala Agriculture University is also undertaking a similar exercise using Jyoti as a variety, so that we'll demonstrate in Kerala itself a similar process before the project is successful. Okay, so let's get into the biofortified rice varieties. While doing the nutrient use efficiency screening, where especially for nutrients, we created 6 different levels of fertilizer management: minus N, minus P, minus K, minus NPK. Like that, we had 6 different levels of screening and repeatedly screened these materials under these conditions. And the best performing ones were selected. Eventually, when we bred all these materials, they were use efficient. But a curious question came to our mind: what happens to the iron and zinc? So when we are scanning for the iron and zinc, we stumbled into a particular set of lines where the iron was almost touching 15 ppm, and the, the zinc was more than 34 ppm, which is impossible to combine these two, iron and zinc, together. Because you can combine one of them, but you cannot combine both these elements together in a single line. And this way, it showed us the best materials could be developed where iron and zinc can be combined. Likewise, when we screened the multiple abiotic stress tolerance, we found that we had identified the low glycemic index type of varieties in multiple climate resilient materials, and which are resisting drought, salinity, and flooding tolerance. And you can see here, even the chalkiness score of that is very good without no breakage. These type of materials are there using the multiple markers detected. And a similar work is now being carried by a Kerala Agriculture University. A PhD student is pursuing to using these molecular markers to transfer the low GI into some of the most potential varieties like Jyoti. Now, moving further to the hybridized technologies that we are talking about, we have 4 major activities: healthier and safer hybrids, climate resilient hybrids, and direct seeded rice hybrids. Now, when we are talking of healthier and safer rice hybrids, we are very much focused on developing low glycemic hybrids. And the second is to develop the arsenic safe rice hybrids. Now, when we are talking of arsenic, that the Himalayan range is leaching a lot of this arsenic element into the agricultural lands, and rice being a flood-loving, water-loving, the arsenic into the grain, and therefore it is a very it's a what you call, it causes arsenicosis technically, and a cancer of your gut region, entire gut, you can get cancer. So this is the colorless, and no order is there for arsenic. So it can get easily poisoned. Many people get poisoned by this. So people who are in this Indo-Gangetic plains up to Bangladesh, all are affected by the arsenic from the pumping of the water when it is pumped from the deep wells. This is the parent material of the soil has the arsenic in them. So we have developed arsenic excluding rice varieties already. And now we are trying to bring this arsenic excluding rice varieties that will keep the arsenic away from the grain to less than 0.2 milligrams per kilogram of rice to make it safe according to the World Health Organization. Now, using that material into the hybrids is our objective, and that is what this is being done. The direct seeded rice hybrids, we are looking also onto the how to create the low carbon footprint rice hybrids and herbicide tolerant rice hybrids. In the climate resilient, we have the multiple abiotic stress tolerance hybrids like the drought, the salinity, the flooding tolerant, and many of the biotic stress tolerant hybrids, both for BLV, blast, and false mud specifically. And this is all, we are also keeping into account the socioeconomic impact of these technologies when it is getting translated into Asia and Africa. Now, some of the breeding challenges of hybrid rice is very obvious that people want higher yields. Higher yields means we need to have hybrids that are crossing more than 25% of yield. And for those people who are not aware of the hybrid technology, it is two distinctive parents when they are crossed with each other. You find you can create hybrids, but to create the hybrids, you need a male sterility system so that it can be produced in the field. And therefore, we have to ensure that the modern technologies like the genomic selection within the heterotic pools and the two-line hybrids and the market-driven and improving the combining ability of these materials are taken into account. The key factor in hybridized is basically the seed production. If we don't cross the 3 tons per hectare of seed production of the hybrids, this technology would not be effective. We are working on that. The hybrids susceptible to biotic and abiotic stress, that is what people say. But when two parents have the biotic stress tolerant traits in them, the F1 hybrid automatically combines these traits into it. Likewise, the hybrids are often said they don't have good grain quality. But the recent hybrids, when you both parents are like basmati parents, you can create basmati hybrids. If you have both the parents like cooking quality of Jyoti, we can create Jyoti-like hybrids. So anything is possible. And now the technology is so perfected that we can create any kind of hybrid at our will. And recently, with the genomic prediction tools and artificial intelligence platform, we are able to precisely tell which combinations we can create by the AI platform. So by giving the male and the female data, genotypic data, we can combine them, and at a fraction of a second, it will throw which combinations you will make heterotic. And this is what we are looking at. And the hybrid seed producibility should be more than 3 tons per hectare. And much of these traits, basically the male traits and the female traits, has to be such that it enhances the seed reproducibility of the hybrids. In this regard, we created the super stigma, which is the longest stigma ever created in the rice. And this is now in a male sterile background, especially TGMS, and it can cross more than 3.5 tons. Reducing the cost of the hybrid seeds, the new two-line technology that we will be introducing in Kerala as well, will be one such approach where the temperature sensitive genic male sterility system is basically when you have a temperature of 24 degrees centigrade and above, the plant becomes completely sterile. And below 24 degrees centigrade, the plant becomes fertile. Keeping this principle, you can make the hybrid seed production much easier. You can produce the hybrids in higher temperature and produce its own seed in low temperature conditions. ERI has systematic market segments and almost 5 market segments for direct seeded as well as for transplanted conditions are there. Now, I will not get into the details of this, but these market segments guide the program. But very uniquely, Kerala's market segment is very unique. You like the variety like Jyoti, especially the bold grain, which is nowhere in the world is eaten. It is very peculiar to Kerala only. So that means somebody has to bring these materials and give it to you will not solve your problem. Somebody has to breed this within Kerala because this is your market. And that's why that project that we are talking will be that will repeat the entire GSR breeding strategy in Kerala itself with the Kerala breeders. And therefore, in the next 4 or 5 years from now, you will see the inbreds developed in Kerala, just like Jyoti, like eating quality. And the one rice breeding strategy, when you have the early duration, the medium duration, and the late duration segments, they flow into whatever products they develop. Eventually, the best ones would prevail in which should be given to the different market segments, and final products would fall into the hybrid program. And therefore, any genetic gain that the inbred programs make, the same genetic gains would be translated into the hybrid program. So it goes one out chasing the other. And therefore, now coming to the climate resilient and nutritious rice hybrids, one of the best glaring example is this one. We recently released India's first salt tolerant hybrid. which gives 42% over CSR10, the national check. And this hybrid became even directly, this one combination itself became a project for Goa, where they wanted this particular hybrid to be performing in this place, including in Andhra and coastal places of Gujarat, Goa, and West Bengal. Now, for the rice false smut, we have identified false smut resistant materials that can be directly used because the hybrid program is often affected by the false smut. And this was the gap rate. We filled this up. And recently, we also focused on the males and the female characters so that the producibility of the hybrid combinations become easier. And using the climate resilient, first generation of climate resilient materials from the GSR breeding program was directly utilized into the climate resilient rice hybrids. Now, why I try to put such a busy slide is basically to save time. But the idea here is to give you the range of technologies that is available so that you can understand how these technologies can eventually pave the way for food security. Now, low carbon footprint is a buzzword nowadays. The low carbon footprint means, can you create hybrids that can yield more than 10 tons per hectare and with a duration of less than 110 days? That means generally to get 10 tons, you need more longer duration in inbreds. So that means inbreds with 120 days or 125 days, if that is the yield, you are getting that amount of yield in just 110 days. The amount of methane emission per unit day would be reduced significantly in relation to the yield. So this is the concept of low carbon footprint thing. Recently, we also identified hybrids that will emit less methane from the soil to the air. The reason is very simple, that the rice has a very robust root system and it sequesters the carbon into the soil compared to inbreds. So more sequestration of the carbon to the soil is very effective. And therefore, we can utilize this concept, and even the dry direct seeded conditions, the non-flooded conditions, the methane emission is almost negligible. So therefore, you can reduce the carbon footprint in many ways. And also, we have developed the artificial intelligence platform to predict which combinations can be low carbon footprint hybrids. So this is how EE is progressing into this area. Now, one of these combinations like IR 139126 hybrid was significantly reduced methane in comparison to the Czech inbred, and in two conditions, in continuously flooded condition and mid-season drainage. And if you see the bar out here, this is the continuous flooded inbred, and the continuous flooded hybrid. The global warming potential of this is very reduced, and the same is in this hybrid also here under the mid-season drainage. So this is something which we can say that it is having significant emission reductions of 19% for the hybrid when mid-season is introduced, and 35% in the inbred, and 20% for the Czech hybrid. So in bottom line, early duration, high yielding hybrid rice varieties, especially the ones that can emit less methane to the thing, can be a big advantage, because if the world adopts more of hybrid rice compared to rice inbreds, you will be reducing the planet's temperature. So currently you have more than 170, almost 165 million hectares rice is cultivated. And even if you cover a significant area of at least 25% of that area covered into hybrid rice technology, you can imagine the impact can be so enormous. Now, coming to the direct seeded rice hybrids, we can create direct seeded hybrids with anaerobic germination tolerance, biotic stress tolerance, nematode resistance, and the deeper soil emergence And these also with the herbicide tolerance, these traits can directly lead to the development of direct seeded rice hybrids. In this regard, Mestizo 89 was the first direct seeded rice hybrid, which only required seed rate of 18 kg per hectare. With 18 kg of hectare, you can cultivate 1 hectare of the hybrid, and it can cross more than 10 tons of yield. We also attempted the wet direct seeded conditions. In wet direct seeded conditions, you can see in a wet direct seeded conditions, the yields went very high compared to the Arise, which is a Bayer hybrid, almost 49%. And one of the Czech inbreds, it was enormously very high. So the wet puddle conditions, you are directly seeding it. And therefore, you can save a lot of irrigation water. The manual planting is not required. And therefore, these hybrids, this yield is basically the wet season yields. And let us go to the next one, where the wet direct seeded conditions, the yield of the wet direct seeded is higher than the transplanted conditions. If you see the yield under transplant is the orange bar. So the yield under wet direct seeded is higher than the transplanted conditions, and the duration gets reduced. You see this is the maturity, DSR, the yellow bar, and it reduced by 15 days. The reduction in 15 days reduced duration as compared to transplanted. So this way, the direct seeded, wet direct seeded conditions can play a major role in the coming days. Now, touching the two-line technology, which I was mentioning to you, that the two-line hybridized technology is basically, I showed you this bar out here. Above 24 degrees centigrade, the plant becomes completely sterile. And below 24 degrees centigrade, the plant becomes fertile. Keeping this principle, you can create the self-multiplication of this in cooler places, in higher altitude. You can multiply the seeds, bring the seeds into the plains, and these plants will become completely sterile. And when these plants become completely sterile, you bring any from any variety that you want to make a hybrid with. So, for example, Jyoti can be a parent, and Jyoti's pollen would fall onto the TGMS, and we can create a hybrid out of this combination. So that is the potential of this technology, that any parent can be a parent other than the TGMS. So this way we can create many hybrids, and the GIS maps are there exactly predicting which place perfectly suitable for the development of the deployment of the two-line hybridized seed production, and which places are suitable for the multiplication. And recently we developed the longest ever stigma, which I mentioned to you. This is the stigma that protrudes out, the white one, the feathery stigma. It's the longest ever recorded. And this allows the opportunity to pollen to fall on it, and more seed setting would be possible. So this way we will be able to get more seed production. And this is the seed production plot at Erie, where the yields can go up to 3 tons above. And some of the two-line hybrids could be developed, which had more than 60% headwise recovery and more than 70% milling recovery. So we created a series of TGMS lines that becomes completely sterile at under 24 degrees centigrade. And we have different levels of amidos, so that anywhere in any part of the world can utilize them for different market segments. And also it possesses the herbicide resistance gene in them, this one gene, and also the anaerobic germination gene that can allow the direct seeded rice hybrids to be developed. So these female parents, a series of these female parents are very important for the two-line hybrid development. And one such hybrid 554, which was released in Philippines recently, beat the Arise 6444, which is a Czech, and also the US the RI 6444 gold by almost 6% in a trial in Hyderabad and Varanasi. Now coming to the most potential two-line hybrids which we see, at ERI we never got something crossing 10.5 tons. Now we are touching almost 12 tons, 11.8 tons or almost close to 12 tons. These type of hybrids are almost breaking the yield barriers that we have been talking all along. And you can see it defeated the Czech hybrid, Brigante Plus, by 29%. This is not a small number. Brigante Plus is a ruling Czech in the Philippines, and it beat that Czech by that margin. And therefore, the inbred Czech was almost 44% almost. And this is how it is possible because of the heterotic. And the second thing is we introduce the artificial intelligence platform. Now this can easily predict the hybrid combinations at fastest possible way. And it also helps in identifying the low carbon footprint hybrids. It can also predict the best combination for different market segments. So this way, this global hybridized intelligence platform is already active now and is being used. Recently, using this kind of technology, now we are emerging with still higher yield, touching almost 13 tons. So this is like each time we are growing with more and more sophistication of technology, you can see we are touching almost 13 tons. And I don't want to say how much advantage is there. This is ridiculously very high. But even if you are talking of that level, even if it gets translated at 30%, believe me that we are very much becomes not only food secure, even for the next coming decades, we'll be much secure for that. You can see this is the Czech hybrid, which is 8.2 tons, and you are talking of almost 4 tons above that. And this is something important to highlight. This is just the data from last dry season at ERI. Just a very fresh data, just to highlight. And this IR 134554H is the hybrid that beat the Czech in the national trial by 15%, Mestizo 99. So these hybrids, when they come, they bring a lot of yield advancement, and then the farmers benefit from it by the increased yield. And the head rice recovery is almost 63%, and the milling recovery is almost about 70%. So therefore, we can say that the new generation of hybrids that we are coming from two-line is something very remarkable. And still more to follow. You can see the new hybrids that are coming through the pipeline are amazing to even to look at them actually. And you can see more of these hybrids to have how they look in the, and the super stigma from a close view, you can see how they look. And this increases the seed producibility to a next level. And this is in the male sterile parent. So therefore, the seed producibility goes much enhanced in this case. And therefore, now you may say which places are suitable for seed producibility. This is a map which gives 100% accuracy. The more the deeper the red, it is 100% accurate that this place will not fluctuate during that 1 week of time where the temperature is required to be more than 24. Remaining time, it can be any temperature. In stage 2 to stage 4 of the panicle development, if the temperature is received as high, it will become sterile. If the temperature becomes low, it will become fertile. So using this principle, we can map. And I think this region also is red in color, but we didn't map for Kerala. It was eastern side only was mapped. And the seed producibility, we can see how much of this hybrid seed is produced here. This is the male parent. The pollen from here falls on this, and the seed is produced is the hybrid seed. This is a two-line seed production plot, more than 3 tons per hectare. ERI has released almost 19 hybrids, and we have released almost 3 two-line hybrids. And the most recent one was this one. Just 2 weeks back, we released this one with 12% over the hybrid Czech Mestizo 103, which is a new Czech. And more than 9 of them have been licensed to the private sector. and the royalties from these hybrids are emerging, and this can be used for more research. And you can see how the seed production plots in large scale can be done. And this brings a lot of income to the university, to the institute. When you do this, it generates income for the university and to the institute who holds the IP for these materials. So ERI is generating income for research by this approach, where it has licensed its hybrids to the private sector. Now, stepping aside, now if I look from last 2016 to 2023, we started checking how much is the genetic gain that is happening. We have been talking genetic gains in the real perspective, but we said we can say genetic improvement rather than genetic gain in this context. And 3.62% was the genetic gain that was recorded. Generally, to cross 1 or 1.5% in inbred programs, now we are seeing this. And the main reason is the heterotic pool-based crosses and the two-line hybrids that took the entire front stage. Now, people who aspire for being a hybridized breeder or breeder for plant breeder or rice breeder, the key thing is how you generate the genetic gains. And the genetic gains is basically how your selection intensity and the selection accuracy and the duration of the time is the least. So when you have a facility, 5 generations per year can be done in this type of facilities. 5 cropping seasons can be done in 1 year. So that means you can accelerate the breeding process of developing the varieties. And from the elite founder lines, you can recycle at every stage by stage, and therefore you can increase the genetic gain. The genome editing tools will become in the coming days will become a common thing, and we can correct any trait that we would like to correct. And this is allowed in India, where the genome editing tools can be utilized. And still in many countries, it is not used. At ERI, we are not using for hybrid rice, but in the future, it will happen. Then the heterotic pools is a very important concept where very distinctive classes are kept between males and the females. You don't mix the pools, keep them apart from each other, and then you make these combinations. And the last part is the one-line technology. We have been talking 3-line hybrid rice, 2-line hybrid rice, and now I'm talking one-line technology. The one-line technology is the apomictic hybrid rice. Now, this is a very important topic for people who understand what is apomixis. Apomixis is without the sexual reproduction. If the seed is formed by the maternal side without fertilization, it is called synthetic apomix. And in rice, this has been demonstrated by UC Davis, a group from Venkateshan Sundaresan, and also a group from China has been able to achieve this. But the technology is still in its infancy, where the level of the apomictic behavior is not yet standardized. Now, whatever it may be, every hybrid you need to convert into apomictic. So that is not possible. So what you need to do is few hybrids you can convert it into thing. But the technology for breeding will remain, should remain to continue like that. And only the hybrids that have been proven good can be converted into apomictic hybrids. Now, how that will be done? That means if we convert many of these, the best hybrids with 30% more yield and make it into a hybrid without need to purchase the seed. So its own seed will be just like an inbred variety. The farmer need not purchase a seed. So that is the ultimate advantage of the apomictic hybrids. So that means year after year, he will get hybrid without purchasing the hybrid seed. So this apomictic hybrids is a very good concept, and it is proven. And maybe next 5 to 10 years, this will become into a reality. But nevertheless, we need to make the hybrid combination because it's only helping the seed production opportunity here, not the hybrid itself. So how do we produce, or how did the people produce the synthetic apomictic hybrids? Now, if you look at this is a normal meiotic process where 2 lines are crossed, you get a hybrid, and when you grow the F1, it will segregate. But if you take a parental line, 2 two parentals, male and the female, you create the hybrid. And this with the blocking of the mitosis instead of meiosis MIME gene and the baby boom genes, especially baby boom 4, and there are specific promoter loci which will help to propel this. And no fertilization would take place, and parthenogenetic embryo development will take place. And the sperm nucleus, which is 2N, would fuse with two central nuclei with 2N each. The endosperm will be 6N, and it will be uniform. The hybrid quality will be uniform. Unlike in this place, it is F2. Every seed is an F2. Technically, what you are eating is an F2. But here it will be uniform in quality. So that way the quality would dramatically improve, and the one-line technology would be a dream if it is fulfilled properly. So I'm sure that with the advancement of the AI technology, where to identify the hybrid combination, high yielding hybrids are identified, then we can combine these things into the apomix whenever the technology is mature, and we can create a series of hybrids globally. And then I come to the last slide. When I'm talking of AI, we brought this paper in Frontiers in Plant Science just a few months back, where any kind of data that can be, we can really utilize such data. If you have this kind of data of image data, weather data, image data, of epigenetic data, phenotypic, microbiome, soil microbiome data, we can really exploit that through the AI approach, where our eyes cannot see, the AI platform can see that, and that patterns can be exploited very, very robustly. ERI is leading this space again, and we will be very happy to collaborate with the university there. Now, coming to the future direction, where from here, I just tried to summarize all the most important technologies that are available for rice world, from inbred to apomictic inbreds. Basically, I don't say not hybrids, apomictic become just like an inbred. So the apomictic hybrids. So the future direction is the climate resilient hybrids would be evaluated in vulnerable market regions, and more of these hybrids would be available for farmers. We will be still working on the heat, cold, elevated levels of carbon dioxide, ozone, nutrients, and water use efficiency, and their interactions are currently being worked out at ERI. The new TGMS and CMS lines and the heterotic market preferred two-line hybrids still going in full force, and innovative approaches like genomic prediction of heterosis and AI to narrow down on the combinations would still get accelerated because more data would be utilized by now. So with time, it becomes more and more robust. The two-line technology will become the commercial reality next 4 or 5 years from now. The three-line technology would be almost become obsolete in the coming days. Genome editing tools would become very common in India in the coming days, and it will become a routine. And I said that the yield barrier breaking climate resilient synthetic apomictic hybrids will be the future for next decade from now. And that would herald a new era where the food security will be at our control. And well-trained human resources are still needed to understand how the climate resilience traits can be captured and how they can be screened. And of course, the final thing is that we need socioeconomics, economists to study the impact of these climate resilient hybrids and nutritious hybrids, both in Asia and Africa. And with this, I'd like to thank all the organizers out here. And this is my team at ERI who are behind this work. And I would like to acknowledge the HRDC Hybridized Development Consortium, the two-line study group, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation for supporting the GSR project, Zikang, who is the CAS lead for the GSR project. We have Africa Rice team as well. Hans, who just retired recently. Now Sankalp is the deputy there. We have Linga, the business manager at India in Hyderabad, Vikas, who is leading the ERI's hybrid breeding program at Hyderabad. and all my students and staff. I'd like to acknowledge them here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Such students are encouraged to ask questions and interact with the expert.
Namaskaram, sir. It's Mahesh from College of Agriculture, Vellani. Thank you, sir, for excellent presentation, especially on climate resilient traits varieties. So my question is, in earlier slide of yours, you were talking about global insecurity, food insecurity. But in contrary, Government of India promoting natural farming. Okay. Gujarat government in 2017 established Gujarat Natural Farming Science University. So Governor of Gujarat also promoting natural farming. Also Indian government also promoting natural farming. And we are talking about hybrid rice breed. Okay. Grain super rice also. And one line apomictic rice breed take along. But these are all fertilizer responsive hybrids. So what is your opinion on that?
See, there are different ways of looking at it. The first way is people think that natural farming means to produce without using chemicals or chemical fertilizers or chemicals into the program. Very good. But to get a label of organic in the real sense is very difficult these days. But let us imagine for a while the organic is truly done and thing. The first thing would be the yield will be penalized. If you don't apply the fertilizers required for the plant to receive the required amount of dosage of fertilizer or the level of nitrogen and the phosphorus and the potassium, you cannot give it from natural farming. Like, for example, if you were to put the farmyard manure, you have to put tons and tons of that fertilizer in the form of farmyard manure, where it is only few percentages, and it will not help. And who will produce that kind of farmyard across the country, and who will package it, who will distribute it, the cost of labor on deploying or distributing this into the field. It's very good to say that natural farming looks very good, but yield will be penalized. There will be no yield. But if an organic market is there and there's a niche market in that, if I say this product is organically produced without any chemicals, there are people who buy that kind of product. It's a crazy world, but people think that the people give more money to such products. Technically, nitrogen coming from organic source or inorganic source is nitrogen at the end of the day. So as a scientist, we cannot differentiate that, but there's a market that drives these things. So keeping that in mind, there's no issue about that, but that cannot be advocated in the large areas. Only a few hectares, few here and there, wherever those fertilizers are available, the farmyard manures are available, these things can be implemented. But food security will be at risk. A country like India should not go for natural farming.
Okay, sir.
And you have seen the example of Sri Lanka. So what went to them was because of that, they shifted to natural farming and they ended up in losing their the whole economy itself.
In contrary of that, Indian government promoting natural farming.
No, that is
the issue.
Yeah, no, that is their policy to support it. I have no issues about that. But somebody has to think deeply to see what is the benefit of going for natural farming, compare it to the chemical approach. All these years, we took 70 years to come to increasing the yield and the production of this country. Now, suddenly, if you don't apply these fertilizers and all of the country goes to natural farming, what will be the impact? At least I'm sure 60% yield will be dropped, completely production will go down. How will feed the population of 1.3 billion people?
Yes, sir.
So that itself is, you can do in small pockets and small places, but you can't advocate to large pockets or larger areas. I respect what the government says, but at the same time, one has to be vigilant that these things cannot be digested in a scientific context.
Thank you, sir.
So I have a technical question, a short of telling. I understand that it's it will be we must reach input security globally and we must reach 10 times per year. That's a lot that's understood. But I'm curious to know the other side of the coin. When you talk about such a kind of market translates or hybrids and the AI-driven hybrids and all. I mean, IR has any kind of strategy to ensure that all these standards are technically safe when it comes to the field. I mentioned that purpose of everything. I support it. But we must ensure that all the other technically safe when it comes to the field. For example, there's no new methods to add into the whole global, no non-coding organized figured projects, particularly the market free projects and so on, so that all these things questions technically can be amicably settled.
Okay. Your question is very simple word, art transgenic safe. That's what your question is.
No, epidemiologically safe so that it can be convinced technically that all the can be practiced.
So first of all, whatever I showed you, there is no transgenic activity there. No, nothing was GM. It was sheer breeding. All the products I showed you were sheer breeding. Even the appomattic hybrids that we are going to pursue will be through the breeding strategy, using the gene editing approach, not through a GM approach. And that too, it will take another 10 years before anything will come out in that part. That's the future technologies. But whatever I showed you, all the green supervised to hybrids, all are sheer breeding. And they are very safe and anybody can utilize them. No issues.
Okay, so somewhere it's also similarly predicted for some identifying some of the hybrids. Those are used as a marker for hybrids.
Oh, the low glycemic index.
Yes, some of the flexes are.
So, you mean this one?
Yeah, from the mark was SLB based mark was
No, but anyway, these molecular markers are nothing. They're only like, for example, let me give you an example here. If you have a lamppost on a road, that's a marker technically. Which number of the pole number is written, it will tell you where to stand or which is nearest object to that pole. It's a marker, it's like that. It's nothing to do with any kind of knowledge. So these slip markers or SSR markers or any molecular marker, just like lampposts to detect which trait is closely associated with that marker. That is as simple as that. So it's nothing that the marker will do something. The marker will not do anything. They are already existing in the natural system. We are not introducing those markers into the system. It is naturally there in the rice plant. So then you can map these traits, typically telling the drought tolerances in this particular region or the salinity tolerances in this particular chromosome. So that is for detection of the traits. You need molecular markers.
Thank you.
Okay.
I understood that you are talking about the climatic resilience price. So is there any AI based which will yield specific nutrition content in the rice? Whether any such research has been done for from this climatic resistant rice?
You see, what is AI basically? It needs some data. If you have enormous data with you, then you cannot read those data with your own self, which is good, which is bad. If this trade is going, zinc is high, what happening to the other elements, you don't know. But AI can really crush that data at any level. So that's the power of AI. So when you compare with, like, for example, the ones that I'm showing here, this one, just to show you a very good example. Yeah, this one. When I mentioned this particular thing, I said that we use molecular markers, slit markers here to detect whether the low GI is there or not. So it is a molecular marker technically, and this low GI can be detected. The same in case of if we feed this information that these markers are there and this thing is there to the AI, and these are all climate resilient materials. Now with this molecular markers, I could detect that it is low GI. But you imagine if you have thousands of genomes, we can't go and search that the present are there individually. Every individual you can't do it. But if there's an AI model there, it can do the job in no time. Just one click of a button, it will throw all wherever the gene is detected, it will say, it will put it in one side. And also identify, if you have the other way around, low glycemic index, which are the genes which are related with that low glycemic index related genes. So this both ways it can work. And climate resilience, you have to, but everything you have to breed first. You have to have a starting point. You can't, without anything, you can't do anything. Means you have to have something in your hand first. Okay,
Yeah.
so that is fundamental. Like you have to have a climate resilient material in order to search the low glycemic.
As
Yeah.
well, actually, for diabetic, specific to the diabetic patients like that, you have you're making a picture, no, that climatic resistance you have created, no, like that. Is there any nutrition we can alter our, what should be the nutrition in my rice? Whether such research has happened.
Yeah, yeah. So there are a lot of work is being done at ED, and there's a whole department of grain quality at ED. Dr. Nessie Trivandrum leads that. And we are working not only for pigmented rices and all these flavonoids and all sorts of nutritional compounds are there. But the question here is, at the end of the day, what is nutritious? Basic one. Iron and zinc is very, very essential, very fundamental, because this is something related to the hidden hunger elements, and it will help many millions of people for that matter. Then you have the other elements like you can have selenium, many elements are there. But at the end of the day, every rice variety would have a different profile of the nutritional traits. But now which one is liked by the people, the grain shape, the size, the cooking properties, palatability is a huge thing out there. Now, for example, I create a basmati long grain rice, for example, let us say, but which is palatability is no good. Would it be, it will fly, it will not be even adopted, even you put all the other elements there. People will not prefer that kind of a variety. Even Jyoti, for example, if I put all the nutritional traits, but it's not tasting like Jyoti, why somebody will buy and eat that one? So this is something we have to see in the holistic manner, that you could put the nutritional traits without affecting the palatability or the consumer preferences being hampered. Okay, so the challenge is, that is the challenge, rather than adding the nutritional traits itself. So it is like, you can create nutritionally rich varieties. You can have the climate resilient also, but at the end of the day, is it palatable? Is it liked by the consumer where it is targeted? So that is the biggest challenge. And that is not going to be easy either. Like even if I give you anything short of Jyoti in case of Kerala, maybe it will not even be adopted. I can give you all this material in one shot. You can take the Kerala Agriculture University, you can take it without any issue. We can send all this material, but how it will help you? Because you like a particular type of grain and you cannot go to the market even. So that is the problem. So that is why you need to breed in Kerala by the Kerala breeders, and we will try to help them to achieve that objective. And it's possible, it's not. And in just 3.5 years, I showed you that breeding scheme. This breeding scheme, how many years? We count the years. It's hardly 3.5 years from the top to the bottom. This is the technology, that is what I'm talking. In 3.5 years, just 2 seasons per year, this was done. And I joined EE in 2009. By 2019, I already released 50 varieties plus, just in a matter of 10 years. So just to release a variety, it takes 3 years for testing itself on the national trials in different countries. So that means I have to breed a variety in 4 or 5 years and give it to the breeder in that country to test them before it is released. Yeah. Thank you.
No questions, sir. Sorry if it is very layman knowledge. Actually, sir, I agree that the climatic resilience is there, yield is more. Sir, what happens to our, I had the same question, the first question. What happens to our conventional rice, whether how we are going to preserve it? That is also, that is compromised with this hybrid, is it so, sir?
Okay, very good. I think this is something which in the project, actually what we have been talking was 2 high yielding rice varieties, Jeeraga Sala and Gandaga Sala, right? They are very highly preferred in Kerala, right? They are tall varieties. In this project, we'll make them dwarf. We'll reduce the plant height by introducing the ST1 gene, and we'll also bring the stem column thickness genes so that they will not lodge. The grain quality will be exactly the same without tampering on the grain quality, right? So this is the improved version. Will the farmer will not adopt or adopt? You tell me now. He will adopt because more yield will come from there. Almost twice the yield it will come. Whatever the variety that is giving now, if I reduce the plant height of that and put this thing, it will be more tillering and more yielding. At the same time, you will not lose the grain quality properties of the Jeeraga Sala and Gandaga Sala. So this is exactly what I'm trying to explain. So conventional varieties, it will not be that, but you imagine you don't expect the farmers to remain like that. You want the farmers to get more income, right? So how do you help them? Oh, please grow the same thing, tall varieties, let the wind come and let them fall down and they spoil their crop. You want that to happen, or you want them to increase their yield and get more benefit out of their variety? In the marketplace, how a market will know whether it was a tall or a short? Can the market detect it?
Sir, yes, I agree.
So exactly that is, so it will not affect the conventional varieties. Conventional varieties has its own place, but the new materials that will bring more income, and everything runs on the income that brings to the farmers. And the more you put the smiles into the farmers' faces, the more you will be liked, and people will appreciate that. So this is very important.
Thank you, sir, for your patient answering. We understand the excitement of the audience. We are running short of time and we have to move further with the proceedings.
Sir, one more question.
To the kind attention of the
Go ahead.
audience, our speaker is available after the session to answer.
That will be another question, no problem.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sir, my question is, instead of following this breeding scheme, can we go for any CRISPR-related mechanism so that we can develop a multi-stress tolerant variety in a short span? Like any lines have been developed so?
Yeah, so first you have to understand the CRISPR-Cas technology or any gene editing technology can edit one or a small segment of a gene, right? It cannot do complex traits like drought, salinity, flooding. They are very complex traits, and it has many genes, and you cannot manipulate that with CRISPR. It needs shear breeding. The reason is very simple, that you need a complex trait because it is governed by more than hundreds of genes actually. What we know on the surface is very little. And even to give a good example for you, is like we talk about submergence, flooding tolerance, one gene on chromosome 9, sub1. But actually we found almost 35 QTLs from biparental crosses in all the 12 chromosomes. That was also helping submergent tolerance without submergence gene, the sub1 gene. So that much complex, even a flooding tolerant material even. You can imagine other traits like salinity, and these are very complex. You cannot do anything with gene editing unless you can edit every gene out there. So it is foolish to spend so much time and energy. Some basic traits, flipping a color, changing a major gene, silencing a particular gene from giving an ill effect. That can be or corrective technologies, like you repair a particular negative trait. I agree that gene editing is the best approach. Like simple traits, okay, not complex. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for addressing all these queries. As we move ahead, I request Professor E. Sabu, Member Secretary of KCDC and General Convener of the 37th Kerala Science Congress, to present a memento to our esteemed speaker as a token of our gratitude. Sir, please. To conclude today's session, I invite Dr. Binja Thomas, Principal Scientist at KCST and convener for the focal theme and memorial lectures of the 37th Kerala Science Congress, to deliver the word of thanks.
Respected Chair, distinguished guests, invitees, my dear colleagues and students. It's indeed a great privilege to be part of this program, which is organized in association with the University of Kerala. And of course, we have upcoming 2 memorial lectures, which will be held at the Calicut University, which is the P.R. Pisharadi Memorial Lecture, and G.N. Ramachandran Memorial Lecture, which will be held at Kannur University next week. And today, my duty is to propose a formal word of thanks. And of course, to begin with, let me extend sincere gratitude to Registrar Professor K.S. Anil Kumar for presiding the function, and also for extending all the support for coordinating this program at this venue, EMS Hall of Kariavattom campus. So we had an excellent and thought-provoking session by the chief guest of the day, Dr. Jauhar, Principal Scientist from IRRI. And we have been in close association with Dr. Jauhar for the last 3-4 months in connection with the establishment of the upcoming institution under the government of Kerala, that is the Institute of Advanced Crop Breeding. And of course, as part of this memorial lecture, we were listening, and in fact, we were familiarized with the new varieties, rice varieties, especially climate resilient varieties, as well as nutritional rice varieties. Also, the advanced technologies, especially for hybrid rice technologies, as well as AI-based technologies, along with the precision agriculture. And on behalf of 37th Kerala Science Congress Committee, as well as KSFC, let me extend a sincere gratitude and profound appreciation to you, sir, for accepting our invitation and also wholeheartedly participating in this event. Thank you so much. I take this opportunity to thank Professor K.P. Sudhir, Executive Vice President, KSFC, and President of 37th KSC, though in his absence, and also Dr. A. Sabu, Member Secretary, KSFC, for the guidance and support in coordinating all these programs, which is coming under the 37th Kerala Science Congress. Thank you. And let me also place sincere thanks to Professor Shaji, Director, Internal Quality Assurance Cell of University of Kerala, for accepting our proposal and also extending all kinds of support for coordinating this event in a successful manner. Thank you, sir. And also our gratitude to the officials of State Medicinal Plants Board of Kerala for sponsoring this event. And sincere thanks to all the participants, which include the Director, JNTBGRI, Dr. Adnachalam, Director, MBGIPF, Dr. N.S. Pradeep, my colleagues, and also the faculty as well as HODs from the various departments of University of Kerala, College of Agriculture, and of course, there are also participants from institutions who have joined through the web link, web streaming. So once again, thank you all. And of course, I should appreciate the efforts of our team, especially Dr. Arunan, joint convener of the program, and my teammates, of course, Dr. Shariga, Dr. Vijay Kumar, Dr. Jaya, Safiq, and so on. And also the officials from the University of Kerala, especially I should appreciate Shiva Prasad and his team for supporting, for materializing this particular event. Thank you. Thank you so much.